Why did I say that the best we can do for ourselves is to preserve a core of mystery about our personality? Welcome, Swagatham, Vanakkam. In a video posted in this YouTube Sangamam a few months ago, very likely last year, I made a promise which I forgot to honor. In passing, I made the promise that I will make a video on the importance of preserving a core of mystery in our personality, and perhaps also added that that's the best we can do for ourselves. So, one of the members of this fellowship who paid particular attention to that promise reminded me just today that that promise remains to be fulfilled. And would I consider doing a video on that subject? So I decided to redeem my promise at once, hence this video. Now, obviously, the central theme is personality. There are various ways in which the concept of personality is understood. Broadly speaking, two, that is, the worldly idea of personality and the spiritual idea of personality. The worldly idea of personality is best explained by the root meaning of the word personality, the root of which is the Latin word persona, which means a mask. So, from that point of view, or etymologically, personality means wearing a mask, which we assume will appeal to people around us. It has no reference really to the authenticity of our being, the truth or otherwise of who we are, the depth of our personality, the quality of our nature, so on and so forth. It only refers to how we strike others, and largely in terms of external appearance. And hence, the accent falls on the idea of wearing a mask. The spiritual understanding of personality is exactly the opposite. From a spiritual perspective, personality is a depth phenomenon, and therefore the worth of personality is not to be advertised on the outside. We are not to be like the painted tombs, painted sepulchres that the priests, according to Jesus' description, became in his times. Outwardly, quite fine, but inwardly, it's quite disappointing and alienating, disgusting, and repugnant. Now, why do I say that every human being must preserve a core of mystery within oneself? Now, in order to explain this, I have to first make some preliminary statement about the idea of mystery. Mystery is not just a word, it's an idea. By definition, mystery is beyond the comprehension and therefore also the control of human beings. Everything other than mystery is subject to and vulnerable to human manipulation. Human nature is such that the tendency to manipulate and control others, and if possible to exploit them, is innate in human nature. But the limitation is that in order to control and manipulate others, we have to understand others completely. It's impossible to manipulate and control what we don't understand. To manage, the basic necessity is adequate understanding or complete understanding of that which we have to manage. Imagine having to manage anything which you don't understand. It's a miserable state. You will thoroughly fail. And the more you try to manage that which you don't understand, the more miserable, desperate, and helpless you will become. And to the extent that in this world everybody is keen to manipulate everybody else, and I'm not taking a cynical view of things, I'm being realistic about it. Even children want to manipulate their parents, just as parents want to manipulate their children. People in the workplaces manipulate each other. Rulers manipulate people manipulate leaders, so on and so forth. Everybody is in the business of manipulating everybody else. Now, this is possible only if we are completely understood by others, which means there should not be anything mysterious in us. What is mysterious is, by definition, beyond the control of any human being. And as Soren Kierkegaard points out in one of his books, mystery pertains to the presence of the divine. God alone is mysterious. Therefore, the core of mystery in us actually pertains to the divine presence within us, something that Jesus referred to as the light within every human being, a beautiful description that you find in the 5th chapter of Matthew's Gospel from verses 14 to 16. And Jesus consolidated that further by saying, as found in the 4th verse of the 15th chapter of John's Gospel, abide in me and I in you. So if Jesus abides in us, there is that core of mystery. And as Paul states, quoting one of the Greek authors, in God we live and move and have our being. I think it's in the 17th chapter of Acts of the Apostles. So if it is in God that we have the very ground of our existence, as Paul Tillich argues, then it's inevitable that if we are sound, if we are godly, we have that core of the divine within us. And the most authentic hallmark of the divine is mystery. The Bible says, for example, God's ways are mysterious. That's because God is mysterious. And mystery is out of bounds for human manipulation. It's beyond the control of every human being, including the mightiest of the rulers in this world. Therefore, if you really want to protect yourself, if you want to be protected from this ever-present, ubiquitous human tendency to manipulate, to control, and to take advantage of, or at least to be safe from being taken for granted, the best thing you can do for yourself is to preserve this core of mystery within yourself. And this cannot be a matter of mere pretense. You can't pretend that there is this core of mystery within yourself. It has to be real. Only then the truth of its power will strike others, and people will then decide their strategies in relation to you accordingly. In this context, before I conclude, perhaps I need to offer a little more explanation. Human beings can have different orientations to their personality. Let me quickly mention some of them. I'm not going to present a comprehensive list of these orientations, but I'll certainly identify the main orientations. For example, a human being can be past oriented. Most religious people are past oriented. They always, when they face a situation which poses some difficulty, some challenge, some question, or raises some question mark, in order to resolve that situation, in order to decide how best to handle it, they would not look at the present situation, they would look to the past, to the dim, distant past, to derive the wisdom of the past in order to apply to the present. And very often that effort will prove inadequate because not everything present today was experienced or even anticipated in the past. Human situation is forever changing, and therefore, even as the past offers tremendous storehouses of wisdom, it is also necessary to develop the spiritual gift of discernment, which relates to the ability to look beyond the surface or look behind the surface of things or beneath the surface of things and discern truth from appearance or chaff from grain, and then to deal with the situation according to the truth of the matter. That's discernment. But people who are merely past oriented, who always turn back, like Lot's wife, look to the past, look back all the time. They fail to engage with the present as fully, comprehensively, and competently as they otherwise would have, but for their past orientation. Most traditionalists, most orthodox people, and as I said, most religious people in general, and people living in traditional societies are all apt to be or likely to be past oriented people. And they are, in many cases, seriously handicapped in dealing with the given situation which is in the present. The wisdom or the strategy of the past may not be adequate or even relevant to dealing with the present situation. So, the past oriented people, that has its problems. And the most important thing to remember about this orientation is that the responses of people who are past oriented are very nearly predictable. You can predict how they are going to react, how they are going to deal with the given situation. When a person becomes wholly predictable, then there is no heart of mystery in that person. One aspect of mystery is unpredictability. Nothing mysterious is predictable. What is predictable is not mysterious. So if you are past oriented, then you are wholly predictable, and therefore there is no core of mystery in your personality, and people can predict you, they can anticipate you, they can control you, and they will take you for granted. That's a pity. The second category of people are other oriented. They always look to other human beings around them. They go to this person, that person, seek advice. They never think for themselves. They never figure out the situation for themselves. And therefore, they also do not bother to develop their innate capacities towards discernment and maturity so that they can come to independent conclusions on their own. Rather, they choose to stay in the state of never-ending dependence on others, as a result of which they fail to develop their personality. They too, like the past-oriented people, are highly predictable because if you know the general run of things, you know how they are likely to understand and respond to the given situation. And one aspect of this is addiction to public opinion. Public opinion has the tendency to homogenize the understanding and therefore response strategies prevalent in a society. And people who are therefore oriented to public opinion or the opinion subscribed to by most people, they become quite obviously highly predictable. They too lack the inner core of mystery, and therefore their personality remains shallow and weak, and they can never have the desired extent or degree of impact on others, and they end up being taken for granted, in fact, taken for a ride by everybody around them. And this is a serious problem as far as serious lacuna or defect as far as the development of personality is concerned. Then there are others who, shall we say, are God oriented as against religion oriented. Religion is homogenization, regimentation. Religion is predictable. You can predict quite well how a religious person will react. Not so in the case of one who is actually rooted in God. As I said, quoting from Kierkegaard, God is mysterious, therefore highly unpredictable. Mysterious are the ways of God. And therefore, if the divine element is the shaping element or defining element in us, then we have that core of mystery in us, as a result of which people will sense this reality and they will take their hands off us. They will never dare to manipulate, control, and take us for a ride. And our personality will have a certain power, solidity, and depth, which is likely to be absent in the case of the past oriented people and the other oriented people, or the public opinion oriented people who act in terms of prevailing stereotypes, set patterns, and therefore predictable ways. So, the idea of personality, therefore, I would like to conclude by emphasizing, is ultimately a spiritual idea. And that spiritual idea of personality is best manifested in a person like Jesus Christ. You can also find it in the other spiritual luminaries that humanity continues to cherish. Lord Buddha, for example. That mysterious, that depth of personality, which commands respect and awe and wonder from others. Most people, unfortunately, try to appeal to the sympathy or the pity of others. They embrace what is called the psychology of victimhood. Whereas people who preserve and value this core of mystery within themselves will never think in terms of appealing to other people's pity or sympathy. Rather, they would try to be a source of inspiration and confidence for others. Not because they want to impress anyone, they want to be acknowledged or accredited, but because the strength within them of the mysterious core will authentically express itself in terms of proving oneself to be a source of comfort, solace, strength, and inspiration for others. So ultimately, the choice is between being a person who is pitied by others and, on the other hand, on the other side, becoming a person who has a positive and inspiring impact on others. And I believe that it is with reference to the second category of people who have a positive and beneficial effect on their environment, their context, the web of humanity in the midst of which they are placed, that Jesus said, "You are the light of the world." Surely, a person who leads a shallow life, a stereotypical life, a merely past-oriented life, a life of mere conformity to the settled ways of the world around oneself, cannot be the light of the world. So, ultimately, we have to cherish the greatness that is dormant within us, and in order to cherish, we must become aware of it. And that awareness comes not when we are chasing the vain shadows of the world, or not when we try desperately to conform to the ways of the world, but when we try to value ourselves as something special, something unique. To me, it's a greatly consoling affirmation that I'm unique, that there is no one else like me in this world. The same with all of you. There is none like this anywhere in the world. There never was anyone like you in the history of mankind. There isn't anyone like you among the 8 billion people living on planet Earth. There never will be anyone like you for the remainder of history. That's how unique you are. Isn't that something to be greatly cherished and celebrated? And the moment you realize that you're a unique creation, you also realize that there is a tremendous purpose which is unique to you. It is not your body that is unique to you. It is not the worldly circumstances surrounding that's unique to you. It's not what you own that's unique to you. It is the purpose of your very existence on planet Earth, which is unique. And therefore, obviously, the mystery of your personality is related to the very purpose of your life. And to the extent that that purpose is godly rather than worldly, sensual, etc., you can be rest assured that the power of personality will be developed within you. And it is that power that I refer to by saying that there must be this core there must be this core of mystery in your personality. Now, let me make a final reference to literature. In literature, the study of short stories, novels, etc., we categorize characters into two types: flat characters and round characters. Flat characters are highly predictable, they lack depth, whereas round characters are deep characters, and about them it's highly difficult, if not altogether impossible, to be able to anticipate what they're going to do, how they're going to react to the emerging situation, etc. In other words, there is that core of mystery in them. They have the depth in their personality. As Kierkegaard points out, the worst condemnation that can be heaped on a human being is to call him or her a shallow character. In contrast, recognizing someone as having or as being a deep personality is a very profound compliment. If someone tells you that you are a very shallow character, you wouldn't like it, and you shouldn't like it. In fact, it should break your heart. On the other hand, if someone says, I cannot figure out who you are, I cannot predict you, I cannot pluck the heart of your mystery, as Hamlet says to his two friends, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, in Shakespeare's play Hamlet. Hamlet says, can you pluck the heart of my mystery? They say, no, Lord, we can't do it. That should be the mark of your personality. Don't become flat. Don't become shallow. Don't become predictable. Don't conform to the way of the world, the common run of things. Not because you want to be different from anyone, but because you want to be true to yourself. Believing that you are a unique person, stamped or imprinted with an incomparable purpose which needs to be fulfilled, and to the extent that you remain unwaveringly faithful to the defining purpose of your being, you will certainly preserve and develop this core of mystery, and that will take care of the development of your personality in a wonderful manner. There's no other secret, I believe, to healthy, spiritually vibrant personality development. I conclude by expressing my gratitude to the friend, an active member of our UT Fellowship, who held on to the promise that I made several months ago and reminded me just today, as I said at the outset, that this promise remains hanging in the air. I believe I have redeemed my promise, and therefore I conclude this video with a sense of gratitude to all who take a keen and active interest in this pilgrimage of seeking after true understanding of things, not as an academic luxury, but as a basic necessity, so that we can make good sense of the ordinary life about which we know anything at all. Thank you very much, and may every one of us be truly blessed. Thank you. Bye-bye.